Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another lesson. In this little lesson, I'm going to be showing you how I go about painting my loose tulips. So as you can see, this is my little thumbnail sketch, and it looks kind of like a big ball of sketchy marks like that. I want to have one focal tulip that you can really see the inside and all the lines like that. So if I can't find the other one, I'm going to do a screenshot of that. And this is off the royalty-free images that are available on Pixabay. And so you can see I've looked up tulips, and that's how I'm finding my reference photo there. And I sketched out my main focal point flower here. So I've got the tulip here, and you can't really see probably too well from the small lines in with the camera and everything. I have to have it pretty high up because this is a 12 by 12 I'm going to be working on, because I've had requests to do larger, looser paintings. So you can see this is going to be the main flower, and I want to show that inside of at least one of the tulips. But then when I do my larger tulip abstracts, the other flowers can be very loose and sort of just intuitive and just have those shapes that you see. There can be some leaf colors, and we don't have to have them all green. We can have interesting marks and really enjoy kind of just loosening up. But if you want to have at least one focal point, I feel I kind of want to show that inside that one red one there. So I've got some Viridian green and a little of this burnt sienna. And I'm going to just put in kind of block in. I could take a little bit of that burnt sienna, and I have a butcher's mixing tray. I'll just kind of use this to mix. And I've got some of this transparent red, and I'll use some of that burnt sienna. And transparent red is nice for blocking in these tulips. So I might just kind of look at my reference sketch that I did and sort of put in maybe where that one tulip, where I want to see that one tulip, so that I can start to get an idea of where everything's going. So I'm just using a little water and a little burnt sienna and a little transparent red oxide. You block in nice and transparent like this, you have lots of time, and you got lots of kind of layers to work with here. Lots of space too. You don't have to worry because it's so transparent, you can paint over it. So these tulips, I'm just gonna put those in real loose. I want this to be nice and loose and abstract. Just make sure, you're happy with where everything's going at this point. I feel like I'm gonna move this one down a little bit more. feel like I needed I make such a big mess right away. I feel like I need a canvas. I should have done it on a larger canvas. But that's okay. I'm gonna go in there now and recalibrate everything a little. Dioxazine violet and some sap green, and I'll just go and sort of, I'm going to kind of reshape the space between and see how I like it. So I'm going to put in a little sap and dioxazine violet there and put in some negative space so I can see some space between the tulips, because it's an abstract, so you're kind of you got to kind of see where everything's going to go, and has to kind of have some sort of flow to it. Otherwise, you don't want to start adding a lot of paint and making a a big mess of it right away. Yeah, add all that paint and detail, then later you'll be sorry. So you kind of want to, I gotta kind of scale down this guy because I moved him down on the canvas, but you can't see kind of the space that's going to be in between when you do that. So I have to kind of show it so you can see what I'm thinking here. So we got those ones going that way, and then this one's going to be kind of and I can wipe away the bottom of that one now. And you never know. I think I'll make this one a little bigger. And then this one can be in the background. And then this one will be facing this way here. And that way. They're all kind of going around different directions. Okay. All right, so now I'm gonna put in some different colors down here. Just so that later when I put the background in, it looks more interesting as well. So I'll put in a little bit of this. I've got some of this quinacridone red, and I'll put a little bit of cobalt in there to create this beautiful kind of purple color. And I'm just going to put in some different brush strokes. Okie dokie. So now I'm going to put in, especially on my focal, I'm going to use a little bit of this cad red here. This is just some cad red medium. And I'm going to see, I put quite a bit on this little brush. And I am going to sort of draw in the edges of everything here, to sort of mark out where that main flower is, and add some of the details to that. Get some of that for the inside of the flower there. Just gonna put some of that in there with the palette knife just to loosen it up. All right, I'm just gonna keep going here. There's a lot of obstacles to, making a nice painting, and one of them I find to film the video, I put these paints on the smaller the smaller palette, and it does constrict you, because especially when you need to use a bigger brush. So next time I'm going to use a bigger palette. But you always have something, that you have to figure out. I'll just use my butcher's tray and try to get that paint out of the corner there. And I don't mind that it has a little bit of that ultramarine blue in it, because I kind of want to paint the center in darker anyway, so I wouldn't mind mixing that in there. Want the centers to be a little darker than the outside so that they really show up. Just put in some of those where I know gotta have kind of the dark side, inside of the tulip, to show up a little bit darker on these ones. And so I'm gonna keep going. Okay, so I put out some more paint here in my little paint tray, and I am going to keep blocking it. I just needed to put out some alizarin and some more reds. The reds in here are very, next time I would put it in use like palette paper or something. And so I got to paint quick because I'm in the desert and the paint dries fast. So I'm just mixing in some different colors to really darken some of these, the inside of this flower here. Just putting a little bit more, I put some blues into the red and a little bit of that purple just to get it darker. So it's hard. It seems easy in my mind. If I use my palette knife and some of that red, and you can lighten up the cad red like that, or you can add some yellow to it to lighten it up. and get a nice batch of that on your brush and really get some nice abstract kind of really thick and lively brush strokes there. And I'll get some of that cad red light. Just kind of put a few real lively strokes in there. And if you wanted to, you could add some, gel medium to this to really get some thick paint. I'll just do the same here. I'll just put a few real lively, loose and lively is what we want. So this is just a Blick number 44, if you're wondering what I'm using. Get those kind of tulipy marks, but at the same time, I'm definitely not trying to paint anything that's super realistic here. I just want, this is as close to my hyper realism that I'm getting in this painting here. And then there, and then same here, we want to get some so your imagination has a chance to kind of make up what's happening here. You don't have everything perfectly drawn for you. You don't have perfect brush strokes, but you can see it's creating a lot of energy and a lot of excitement there that we normally wouldn't get if we were trying so hard to capture it perfectly. So now I want to put the little stamen thing in there. So I've got some raw sienna out here. I'll add a little white to that and kind of, you can use your brush or you can just, dab a little mark for that. It's actually a little further forward. I kind of jumped the gun there. So let's cover that up a bit. Kind of darken the little part that goes back. Okay, so now we've got some nice color going and we've got lots happening. We can add and now some different reds in there. So I'm gonna go and get I'm gonna reload my paint again and get back to it. So to get a little more of this cad red light here, and I've added a little bit of white into the mix. So I want to put a few real nice highlights there. Some of that. And I'm going to add a little bit of that into this mixture of kind of the alizarin and kind of put some of that on this one over here. So I really like the highlights there, and you could put a bit more of that CAD red light and do a little highlight on the petal that kind of, is coming out here. Now, the next thing I want to do is let me get a palette knife cleaned off there, get some more paper towel. No, it's hard to compete with how fluid the videos you make when you are painting smaller. You can kind of, everything's a lot more simple to video, but when you have this much paint to deal with, it's kind of harder. So I'm gonna now start adding some greens. Let me just mist that red because I can come back to the reds again. And I'm gonna take a little bit of this Viridian and I'm gonna add some of that cad yellow to it. And I want to dull it down with a little burnt sienna here, just kind of dull that green so it's not so powerful. And see how that goes. We'll put a bit of green in here, trying to still, maintain the looseness. It still feels a little maybe too greeny green. I'm going to dull it with some more burnt sienna here. And just put a few greens in there. Can have a petal kind of coming down here. Tulipy sort of petal. And then get more yellow in that green. Some of that I've got up here, I've got some yellow oxide that'll really, a little bit of white in there, and then just sort of put on some real abstract-y kind of marks there. Just kind of loosen those up a bit. And then I like to add some blue, some cobalt in there and some white and make some kind of, some of the greens kind of more on the bluey side. Like that. Add a few cooler blue greens in there. And then I'm gonna get in some gray here around in the background, just start to kind of put in some. This gray is really handy. I also recommend it. It's straight out of the old tube, and so it's really easy. And I've got them also at Michael's, these little Liquitex basics, so very inexpensive. I used to spend all kinds of money trying to get all this background in there, and it's like Yeah, I just like it. It's coming right out of the tube and so easy to use. I'll leave the color list um, in the description for you. So then once you get a nice layer of that there, you see I've left some of the color showing through just for fun. Can drag some of that into the background a bit here and there just to loosen up those other flowers. But what I like to do is just you can get some white, and you can get a little cobalt blue if you want. Get a little bit of this turquoise. And you can go in there and just sort of add some lighter marks and keeping it real loose and real decorative, kind of abstracty. Put in some bold brush strokes there and having fun with it, it creates a lot of kind of an energy in the painting that I like. So then I'll go back and get some of that nice red color and I'll mix that in and get a little bit of that going. You can put some of that in there just to have some of that background with some of that kind of the red coming through. So because I have such a limited amount of space for the colors there, it's, I can't do a whole lot more. But I'll get a little bit of gray back in there and just kind of bring it to the edge of this one flower and kind of, you can cut in a bit some of the shape of that tulip, just kind of cut into the petals a bit. I got some red on my brush, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go and get some more gray and a little bit of white and kind of go over that. Let's put a little white here and there. Some of this pink. This pink too is one of those Liquitex colors. I just love that you can get these nice bold colors now, just like straight out of the tube, and they're not too expensive. And so now I've got that background in, it kind of shifts my value system a little. So I'm going to take some of this yellow and some white and just sort of add a little bit of, a few lighter green strokes in there just to kind of bring it all up a notch. With acrylic, the one thing I love is it dries fast. The one thing I don't like is it sometimes dries darker. So you just sometimes don't know what you're going to get until later. So anyways, one way of avoiding that, and I'm kind of guilty as charged here, I didn't pre-gesso this canvas. I literally just, for the demo, I just kind of opened it up. But if you do pre-gesso your canvas, that stops the paint from, absorbing into your canvas, and then it creates a little bit more of a brighter painting. So now I want to get a little bit of this cad red light here and just sort of add a few more hot touches up here and put a few little dabs here and there. And the other thing you can do is add a little bit of cobalt blue to your mix, so you have sort of some like a bluey red, kind of more, it creates more of a little bit of a neutral. And you could add some quinacridone red and you get more of a purple, and that's maybe more of a nicer color. And I'll put a little bit of that down in the shadows in a few places, just to kind of have a little, just another layer kind of something there going on that's cool. And you can go back, do a little highlight on the, I think I might just do that, just put a little bit more of a highlight on that little. My paint didn't mix up very well there, but let's see. Just sort of messed that one up because my white didn't, sadly. My white paint kind of wasn't fully mixed in, so. But if you do that, no worries, it's not convenient, but just, you can wipe it off, go put your black back in. And I'm just gonna get a little bit of that yellow. And get a bit of your, the little stamen thing in there again. And then I wanted to add a little highlight to it. So let's get a little bit of some yellow and white in there. See, I should have just left it alone. Okay, and then we could put in a little bit of that, those little things that go around like there. Just put a little highlight on those. And some of them, put a few showing up in there. Okay, well, I don't want to muck around anymore, so here is the abstract tulips, and we started off with our thumbnail sketch, and the rest of it was very just sort of, you know, kind of just play around with the different shapes. So I kind of had the main flower going that way, and they all kind of face around the clock direction. So that's how I come up with my kind of flow of everything. But you can have them all standing straight up if you want, but just make sure just to keep it loose and have fun and enjoy the whole process. And you know, if it doesn't work, you can always scrape it off and try it again another day. And just keep painting and keep painting things you love, and that will help you get better as a painter. So I'll look forward to seeing you in the next lesson, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.